elevation?
Requires this unknown object. P1 control doesn't know what type of aircraft it is either.
Remote-controlled cameras monitor the 7,700 square miles of airspace above the Nellis range. The cameras record fighter jet training, tactical exercises, and in at least one case, this UFO. The video from a tracking location known only as S-30 was fed into Nellis Air Force Base in Las Vegas. Personnel there monitor what is supposed to be classified data about aircraft runs over the 3 million acres of desert that make up the Nellis range. An unknown aircraft making its way onto the complex, says aerospace journalist Bill Sweetman, is not considered standard operating procedure.
I don't think you'd really see many objects wandering in by accident. They're very, very careful to ensure that sort of thing doesn't happen. The potential for serious accident if somebody is really straying into the range is very, very serious.
And yet, something obviously did stray in, and it frightened the camera's remote-controlled operators.
This craft shows up, and it's like they're playing with kids. It's like, do whatever they want and buy now. That's scary.
I've never seen anything like this before. This was my first encounter seeing anything of this nature. And I've been working the ranges for close to 10 years.
It seemed to move in whichever direction it wanted to go whenever it wanted to, contrary to any aircraft that I've seen in the past.
Chuck DeCaro is a former member of U.S. Special Forces, specializing in state-of-the-art military technology. He has analyzed hours of video footage of supposed UFOs, debunking many. But he has never seen anything like the Nellis UFO.
In my first look at that tape, I said, wow. And I continue to say, wow. There are only 3 things that could be on that tape. One is a very elaborate and very expensive hoax. I don't think that's what we're seeing. The second is some kind of a black project, a secret project that has some very unusual aerodynamic characteristics. And the third, if you can eliminate all those aerodynamic answers, could be a true unknown. And if that is an unknown, if you can come to that conclusion, you've got a pretty interesting piece of history right there.
The physical profile of the object changes almost frame to frame. Sometimes it appears almost to be a fuzzy, gassy cloud. In some portions of the video, it appears to be several spherical objects surrounding a dark mass.
To get a better look at the flight characteristics of the Nellis UFO, Sightings consulted with Chip Peterson, a video processing expert. He stabilized and enhanced several minutes of the S-30 video.
I basically moved each frame, and you can see the frames actually moving now, showing the degree that I had to move the image in order to keep this object stable in the center.
The stabilized image clearly shows the odd shape of the object shifting and turning in the sky.
I then took the numbers one by one and reconstructed the flight path, and that's the only way I could determine what the actual motion was, and I recreated that in 3 dimensions. It's initially heading away from the camera, and it abruptly changes, and during this phase, the range is increasing. It's actually going away from the camera, and at this point, it changes direction. Wind wouldn't do that. It wouldn't change that abruptly, and it wouldn't follow a constant radius throughout this entire portion here. It's all at constant distance from the camera. It's as if it's observing the ground position just as the ground is observing it, and maintaining this constant distance.
Based on his knowledge as an aerospace engineer, Peterson offered one possible explanation for the abrupt turns performed by the UFO.
You could interpret it as if it determined it was on radar at this point. Perhaps if you're on radar, of course, you can sense that in all of our fighter planes. You know when you're being tracked. As soon as you get a lock or you get this radar signal, it would seem to me that this object was interested in who's observing it, and it turned in order to find out.
When something starts to change shape like that in the air, you become very, very puzzled, because you realize that you're looking at something that appears to involve a whole new technology that we don't understand. What you want to do, of course, is go and find the person who's invented this and say, whatever made you think of that, and what does it do, and how does it do it?